Hi, my name is Alex, and I will be talking about challenging climate change. So, climate change dominates media headlines, as we know. Predictions of disaster are everywhere. But what if the issue is more complex? The severity of climate change and crisis might be dramatized in current discussions. Climate models are uncertain. Earth also has always had a natural warming and cooling cycle, and politics and money influence public perception. In the graph I have, it just shows the temperature change in Antarctica from the year 2000 to 2020, and I just wanted to include it just to show how dramatic the drops are. Based off of this graph, it's also important to keep in mind Earth's climate has never been constant. Before humans built factories, drove cars, or even burned fossil fuels, our planet experienced dramatic shifts between extremely cold periods and warm periods. Geological evidence from ice cores, sediment layers, and rock formations show that ice ages and warm interglacial phases have occurred repeatedly over tens of thousands of years. These natural cycles are controlled um, by forces far beyond human influence, like differences in the sun's energy, changes in our planet's orbit, and ocean currents that move heat around. In the graph I have, it just shows the Vostok ice core graph, which reveals Earth's climate history for over 400,000 of years, showing distinct cycles of frigid ice ages, glacial periods, and warm glacial interglacial periods. So it just shows how dramatic the drops are as well in this. And this is for over 400,000 of years. And it's important to keep in mind that climate change um, is very um, talked about now. And a lot of people may think that it has only started to happen over the past 100 years, but there has always been um, warm and cold periods. So models are so the Earth's built-in cycles of warming and cooling suggest that climate fluctuations are natural and expected, and understanding this long history helps put current temperature changes into perspective. Climate models help scientists predict future climate patterns, but they may have limitations. They're based on assumptions about how the atmosphere, oceans, and human activity interact, and no model can account for every factor in Earth's complex climate system. Because of these simplifications and gaps in data, some predictions have not matched reality. For example, forecasts of an ice free Arctic by a certain year or extreme sea level rises that didn't occur as expected. Models are helpful for understanding trends, but they're not perfect and should be interpreted with caution. So in the first graph I have, it shows predicted ice in Antarctica, and this graph was in 2016. And what was predicted was that there would be no ice in Antarctica. But in this more recent model that shows ice in Antarctica from 1978 to 2026, it actually shows how it has always risen and fallen. In more recent years, it has dropped a bit, but it is rising again and is pretty stagnant. The influence money has on climate change. Climate policies shape money, markets, and power. Tools like carbon taxes, cap and trade programs, and renewable energy subsidies create financial incentives for reducing emissions. International agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, guide national actions and influence trade and investments. These policies not only encourage innovation, but also affect how climate issues are framed and communicated. In some countries, carbon pricing and cap and trade programs even turn emission reductions into tradable financial assets. And this is important to keep in mind because even though we think it is going to improve climate change and the warming of the earth, these agreements are actually helping people gain more money. Now, valid skepticism in science is important. Not all scientists fully agree with mainstream narrative of human-driven climate change. Respected researchers like Dr. Richard Lindzen and Dr. Judith Curry acknowledge warming but question how much humans contribute. Climate models are simplified and may overstate human impact. Natural factors like solar activity, ocean currents, and volcanic eruptions also influence our climate. Consensus is not proof, and history shows accepted theories can change. Skepticism and critical thinking are a part of science. Questioning helps improve understanding, not denying facts. So in the chart I have, it shows human natural and human factors and natural factors only on climate. And it shows how they overlap a lot. And natural and human factors are higher than natural factors, but not by much. And this is important to keep in mind because many people think humans are the sole reason of climate change, but natural factors are very high as well and important to keep in mind. So, climate change is a complex system influenced by both natural factors and human activity. While scientific models are useful tools, they're not perfect and cannot capture every detail. To understand accurately, we need critical thinking rather than alarmism. Thinking by asking questions, examining the evidence, and thinking carefully, we can make more informed conclusions about the environment and climate policy. Thank you.